Mrs. Barnett.
Here.
Mrs. Tollard.
Here.
Mr. Nielsen.
Here.
Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm going to have a moment of silence, and if you haven't silenced your cell phone, this is a perfect time to do it. Okay, is there any board member statements?
I have a statement. I had the opportunity to attend the ASBA Law Conference. It was such a great conference this year. So much, so many changes, so much information, a lot of things that are going to trickle down and really deeply impact our district. So I'm very optimistic.
Thank you. Mr. Nielsen?
I just want to tell you about the opportunity I had yesterday to go down and visit with Mrs. Rendon and Trace Rios. I could visit with the principal and some of the staff down there and just get to know the people down there, a great group of people, and just appreciate the opportunity to go down and visit with them, see what it is in the trenches. Thank you.
Thank you. I was able to represent Littleton at the ASBA Delegate Assembly this past Saturday. I will say it was the quickest one we've had, I think, in about 10 years, so I was very appreciative of that. The agenda that was presented was pretty much passed. We did have a lot of discussion about an item that was increase public school tax credit donation limits to match those allowed for private schools. So I was glad to see that that passed, as well as the ASBA Legislative Committee recommended striking Arizona School Board shall call upon all state, federal, tribal, and local officials to address the causes and impact of increased gun violence directed at K-12 schools. It was recommended to be struck because a previous item on it says to investigate violence on campuses, and so they felt it was redundant. But overwhelmingly, the delegates of the Delegate Assembly voted to keep that and put it back into our political agenda because they felt like that needed to be emphasized twice. So thank you for the opportunity to represent the board. I think that creating a political agenda allows ASBA's new lobbyist to know exactly what we should be fighting for at the Capitol. All right, moving on to our agenda, Superintendent's report. Dr. Lafitte.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Good evening, community. With the school year now in September, it is exciting to see all of the great opportunities our students, staff, and community have available. Since our last meeting, Adelante Healthcare provided free immunization clinics at our Welcome Center, with a number of families participating in it to make sure their children were up to date on their vaccinations. Make Way for Books also just started their early literacy class for families of children from birth to 5. It continues to show why we lead in learning and caring for everyone in our community. The past month, each of our academies held curriculum nights to present to families the learning opportunities students will have this year on their campus. Many academies provided entertainment and food, which was shown to be a great way to engage families during dinner time. Thank you to all the families that were able to attend. Our first quarter athletics has also gotten off to a great start, with baseball, cheerleading, and girls basketball providing athletes across the district an opportunity to shine. We're excited to see the growth and success of every student athlete, no matter how big or small. Also, with students learning new things, I've also been fortunate to learn a lot from our community, staff, students, and partners. One highlight for myself was being invited to Phoenix Raceway to participate in a partnership luncheon. Not only was I able to have great discussions with our partners at the Raceway, but they also took myself and Mrs. Armstrong of Estrella Vista on a drive on the racetrack and it was definitely a memorable experience. Continuing with the same theme of learning from our community, this past week, I was able to hold the first community forum at Collier Business Academy. I'm excited to continue to learn about how our community views our district as we can continue our path on building tomorrow together. Our next forum takes place tomorrow night at Country Place Leadership Academy, and we encourage all families and community members to join us from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. As I close this report, I would like to thank the Littleton community for its continued support of our schools and staff. It's with your support that together we will continue to build and grow opportunities for every child to help them reach their goals and dreams. And that is it for my report.
Thank you. District highlights.
So what I would like to do at this moment is call up to the podium Mr. Budsman, who has worked with Collier Business Academy on an exciting project that we had 2 of our students involved in. So I'll turn it over.
All right. Greetings, Littleton Governing Board, Dr. Lafitte, and Littleton community. Tonight, I have the distinct honor to introduce and help highlight 2 outstanding kids at Hope, Alrina and Jada from Collier Business Academy. They were selected by their teacher, Ms. Johnson, to be 2 of only 16 students in the state of Arizona to be part of Arizona's Kid Voting Leadership Council with Secretary of the State, Adrian Fontes. We are so proud of their efforts and look forward to the great things they will help accomplish in this opportunity. Let's take a moment to learn more about these kids at Hope.
My name is Alrina,
My name is Jada,
and we are Kids at Hope. Its Voting Arizona Leadership Council, KVLC, is comprised of motivated middle and high school students who work to ensure that youth voices are heard through meaningful educational election experiences. The council is administered by the Arizona Bar Foundation as part of its Kids Voting Arizona program.
When kids get to do projects and recognize that when they put their voices together and they come to a decision about what they can do for the betterment of their school or to address a problem within their community, and they can see the tangible results of that, they recognize that their voice really does matter and that they have the power at this age to actually, affect change for the good of their community.
It makes me feel more confident to talk about things and stuff, being able to get my voice out there and stuff.
I'm hoping to get more people to vote so we can make our business grow bigger.
These 2 are just very strong-willed and powerful young women that I can't wait to help them grow their voice and really focus that to make a difference.
Want to come on up and be recognized?
And for our young ladies, we also have certificates, and each of them will receive a $25 gift card to Walmart.
Okay, moving on to call to the public. We do have one call to the public today. The governing board welcomes public comment and values community input. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes to help us maintain an efficient meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the governing board may respond to direct criticism of themselves, may request follow-up from the superintendent, and may ask for future agenda items. However, the board cannot discuss or take action on the items listed on the agenda in accordance with Arizona law, ARS 38431.01. Can I have Lucas come to the podium? Press the yellow.
Hello, Governing Board. My name is Lucas. I am a 5th grader at Freeman Fine Arts Academy. I came here to talk about the gifted teacher problem. As a member of the Gifted Club, I know that we only get 2 days with our gifted teacher, Mrs. Newell. I am not gifted 2 days a week, I am gifted 7. Maybe we should stop putting money toward wants, like solar panels, and put it to needs, like students' education, because you are a school. I would like to have gifted class all week, not 2 days. Gifted class is important because I get bored and talk, so I get in trouble. In conclusion, I would like you to start hiring gifted teachers so Mrs. Newell can stay at Freeman Fine Arts Academy all week. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I would like to ask that we get information as a board about what we're currently doing for gifted services and how that's being spread out through the district.
I also have an information item. I'd also like to know, what those solar cost savings are coming in, what we plan to do with those solar cost saving monies that we're going to get back from our investment on that.
All right. Thank you. I know that people have dinner and they have homework and stuff, so if they would like to excuse themselves, this is a good time. All right, moving on to item number 9, consent agenda. Is there a motion to, we do have item D and item AA.
Strike AA, please.
Huh?
Just strike AA.
Just strike AA?
It's just
Okay.
item D.
All right, Mr. Nielsen has requested that item D be pulled from the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with that item pulled?
Point of information,
Go ahead.
just to be correct, policy CB superintendent, that's the item we're pulling? Just want to confirm.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with that item pulled?
I motion that we approve the agenda minus
Item D.
item D.
Ms. Stallard, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Nielsen, all in favor of passing the consent agenda minus item D, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes minus item D. Mr. Nielsen, would you like to speak to the item you pulled?
I would like to just get some clarification, as the policy talks about CB superintendent, but when you go to the supporting document, it talks about board member conflict of interest. Is that what it's supposed to be about? Or is it to be the CB, and that's just a misplaced supporting document in there? And if it's not, I got a question on the supporting document for the conflict of interest, so just trying to figure out what it is.
It is actually a misplaced supporting document, so we would have to, I would have to, give me a sec, my computer is not running quickly. I'd have to go back to the previous board meeting so I can pull up that item and restate what that item is.
Well, the item I was actually looking at is the supporting document BCB, and I just had a question on that one, but that's not part of the agenda because the CB is the one part of the agenda. I'm just trying to get clarification.
We can bring that item back.
That's fine. I'm just,
Okay. We'll just bring that back on the next agenda.
okay. So do I need to make a motion that we bring it back at the next meeting?
I believe it wasn't passed, so we can just add it to the next meeting.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right. Moving on to item number 10, information items.
So for item number 10, what we wanted to do was start to do a few things a little bit differently here to show a little bit about some of the infrastructure and items that we're working on within the district. So I'd like to present Mr. Jim Vero, have him come up and present on artificial intelligence applications and how we're utilizing those in the district.
Good evening, President Sosanek, members of the board, Dr. Lafitte, community and colleagues. I'm Jim Verrill, Director of Instructional Technology and Integration. I'm excited to share how Littleton Elementary School District is integrating artificial intelligence to enhance instruction, improve efficiency, and prepare our students for the future. Over the past year, we have been developing an AI framework collaboratively. So this framework is guidance for our staff to guide the ethical, secure, and effective use of generative artificial intelligence across teaching, leadership, and support roles. It's designed to help us personalize learning, streamline operations, and ensure transparency in any AI-driven decisions, all while safeguarding our staff and student data. So last year we had two steering committees. There was a teaching and learning committee that's called TNT, and that's a group of teachers, and we spent the year learning about generative AI and coming up with use cases on how we can utilize AI in teaching and learning. The second group was AI in leadership and support, and that was a representative group of all departments, support staff, administrative staff, school leadership, district leadership. And both committees met monthly to share ideas and gain new learning around using generative AI in our work. And that was really the power of those two committees, because every time we came back, someone had gone out and tried something, and we're able to share that work in those committees. At the heart of our framework is the human-centered philosophy. So AI is a tool, it is not a replacement. We follow a collaborative cycle. So as humans, we input data into generative AI bots. AI generates a response, and humans review and refine those outputs. We also like to apply an 80-20% rule. Let AI do 80% of the work, but 20% of that has to be a human reviewing for accuracy, for bias, and intended purpose. This ensures quality, relevance, and ethical oversight. The committee developed 4 core principles to help guide our work with AI. The first is AI should be used to supplement and enhance teaching and learning experiences. So we spent last year focused on the idea of using AI to support teachers in planning and preparation. In areas where for student use, we had a very limited pilot, and that pilot would be moving forward and starting this year. So last year was all about efficiency and productivity and getting our teachers and our professional staff comfortable using AI, what kind of tasks it could complete it. But our desire, our core principle is that by providing these tools, we'll be able to differentiate instruction, lesson planning, increase student engagement, and it can create a much more effective environment for our teachers. I truly believe that if we can teach our staff how to use AI effectively, it's going to loosen or lessen that pressure on our teachers, and we'll have more teachers that want to stay here with us at Littleton. Our second core principle is around efficiency and innovation. So AI has the potential to streamline tasks for Littleton District staff, including clerical, administrative, operations, and teaching roles. So myself, Araceli Vasquez, other folks that have become our AI ambassadors share out ways that you can use AI in our work every day to get things done quickly, get drafts written, translate documents, just enhance our workflow. The biggest concern with AI, of course, is ethical and responsible use, making sure that our data is protected. We have purchased part of our Microsoft license. We get Copilot. We also use Google with our students and teachers. So we have Gemini. And all of those, because we pay for those, our data is protected, and any information that we put in is not used to train a larger language model on the outside. So our data is protected. But we also want to ensure that we're using it in an ethical way and not just generating something, calling it our own, copying, pasting, and putting it out there. And then our last core principle is really about knowing that AI is here to stay, and that we need to prepare our students for a future where AI and technology are integral parts of daily life, and that it is going to be essential for them to know and how to use it. So we think of AI as a personal mentor, a collaborator, a brainstorm partner, a sounding board, a muse, a thought partner. And one teacher used this quote that I absolutely love: a member of the biggest group project ever. So how have we been preparing our staff? Outside of those two committees, for teachers, we held 2 full-day, what we called AI summits during October break and on the all-staff PD day in January. Both of those days were optional, and we had a full house on October break, and the buzz of energy that left after that day of learning how AI can help them in planning, preparing, and lessen a lot of those tedious tasks. We held school-level mini sessions on Wednesdays, small group, one-to-one sessions, and then this year during pre-service, all of our second and third year teachers during pre-service received that AI summit. And that AI summit was how to use AI to support and enhance the professional learning community, how to plan for instruction, how to differentiate when students didn't learn on initial instruction, how to create assessments. So that work was helping support our PLC work that we're doing at each of our schools. And then during our teachers steering committee, we also have new learning involved at each of those meetings. For administration, we had administrators attending the AI summits. We did small bites of information at the all admin meetings, principal meetings, of course, one-to-one sessions as folks. I was available for coaching. Tell me what's on your desk. Let's look at that pile. What could AI do to get some of that work done? And then, of course, that AI and leadership support steering committee. And for support staff, we offered training during secretary meetings, media clerk meetings, our IT department, and again, one-to-one sessions and that steering committee. So now I want to celebrate some of the successes. So I have a quick video.
I use AI to provide feedback for students with writing, providing targeted feedback to students not just on conventions, but also the content, specific content that I asked it to look for. Students enjoyed it. It greatly increased their writing and their confidence with writing as well. I've also used it to speed up unwrapping standards outside of, for grade levels and contents outside my expertise.
We're really using generative AI in our department to help streamline workloads. We have seen significant improvements in making more comprehensive and student-specific IEPs, making training materials for teachers, and even making specialized therapy intervention plans for students.
I've used it for scope of works when I'm drafting a solicitation, and it will help me think of things that I hadn't thought of. Maybe like a way that's like if it's for a contractor or something. That's not something that I'm a subject matter expert on.
Sometimes AI can ask you questions that you and your team haven't really thought of, or guide your thinking in a way to better support your students, or just it can act as a thought partner.
So once I progress monitor my students, I take that data and use AI to help me focus on what's important. Once I have a focus, then I use that to take the grade level curriculum and differentiate it so that it's at their ability levels. I think AI just opens up a whole world to the students.
So what's next? So this month we have another all-staff PD day, and we are currently developing a 2-hour PD for our teachers on using AI to support the writing process. We are also working with our related services and special education teachers on using AI to support personalized learning. We'll continue to offer the AI Summit and school mini sessions. And for our students, we are developing our digital citizenship lessons to add to our current curriculum so that they understand what AI is and how to use it ethically and responsibly. We're going to be expanding the use of students using AI in grades 3 through 8 this year in what are called spaces, which are like small containment units that teachers can turn on and turn off, and it limits them and keeps them on topic, so they're designed for a specific topic. It's not just like a ChatGPT where they can say, write me a paper. Beginning an AI tutoring pilot. And for our community, we want to start to work more on engaging with our community partners. How are they using AI in the work that they do, so we can bring that back to our teachers and staff and students for future readiness. And then developing some opportunities for our families to learn how they might be able to use generative AI at home to support learning or just support tasks at home that need to get done. So yeah. Questions or comments?
So first I want to say this is a wonderful presentation. I think AI is definitely here to stay. You answer a lot of questions that I would have had. My only concern with AI as it relates to this ChatGPT explosion, is just us like developing a way to balance that. And I think that you said that that's kind of where we're at, being able to allow our students and our teachers who experience so much burnout to be able to, have the support of AI that maybe aid them in grading papers or doing whatever they need to do that will, be an investment in our district as a whole, but also being conscious of the fact that some of our students could potentially use AI, overuse it, and then they're not really, developing any ability to be able to write or, pass tests or even just move forward within their own life to be able to, do what needs to be done. So thank you so much for this presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
I just want to thank you. Was a wonderful. I really like the fact that you answered my question about ESS students, because that would have been one of my first questions, is how is this going to support them? I do have a question though about classified staff. Like you mentioned support staff. Are they going to be a part of the process where they can learn like ESS classified staff and stuff like that, and one-to-one or like the behavior support paras and stuff like that? Will they be a part where they can also learn and go to training on how to use this?
Yeah, there's always that opportunity. So we focused on teachers and secretaries and support professionals at the district office. But that's absolutely an opportunity for us to move into. So in our second year of implementation. So thank you for that.
I just got either a question or a comment. I guess the software for that resides where on the computer system here? Or on each individual laptop?
Right, yep. So Copilot, which is the Microsoft version, resides basically in the cloud. It's part of our Microsoft service, as is Gemini. And then the student-based one and the more education-focused one, which is School AI, it's also cloud-based. So that's held there. But our data, anything that we put into that is not used outside for anyone else to be able to access.
Okay, so the staff, teachers have access to this. The students eventually 3 to 8 years of eighth grade will have access to that. For my education, do you type it in? Do you speak it in? How do you get the third graders as compared to the eighth graders to ask the question or whatever else might be?
Yeah, so School AI for students allows them to use a microphone so they can record and it will transcribe and it can be read back to them if it, whatever answer it gets from them. But then they also would they could type into it as like a traditional chatbot.
And I guess just the final comment, my exposure to it is looking at historical records that have been written in that language called cursive, and having it looked at and whatever, and then they've got an opportunity for you to look through, read cursive and do that correction on it, look to see what the corrective process is, or I don't know how they do that, but 80-20 or whatever you were talking about to go through that. So I'm impressed with it and just the opportunity we now have to make sure that we get trained and use it properly for the education of our kids.
Absolutely. Thank you. I am so honored to work for a district that is future thinking and embraces AI. And I believe from the energy that we see when teachers walk out of these trainings, when we have a TNT meeting when it's from 4:15 to 5:15 and I have teachers just hanging out and staying and asking questions and wanting to try things, it just shows the power of this tool and to invigorate, bring back that joy in teaching. And my hope is that we will retain more teachers and be able to grow from there and move the student achievement needle. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vero.
You're going to have to excuse me. My computer's decided to update, Mr. Verrill, as you were presenting. So I'm just going to go off our next one, which is Environmental Safety Program. Or am I wrong? Please tell me if I am.
So up next, we have our series of policies from ASBA that we're updating to match some of the changes recommended by ASBA through statute and other changes that have taken place. We do have at this time 6 policies. So starting with policy EB, the changes to that are, it's an expansion of purchasing options for school safety programs, expanded the definition of safety personnel and updated language that require emergency response plans to be assessed by a provider on a list maintained by the Department of Education. Within that, you'll see on the recommended policy that 3 paragraphs were added to put us in alignment with the new statutory requirement, and this recommended change is presented as recommended by Arizona School Board Associations. Next policy is JLC. In JLC, sections G and H were added to this policy because we are now required to provide the credentials of our healthcare staff and details about our emergency response training if requested by a parent. Section I clarifies that we are not required to release any personally identifiable information of a school's employee who provided routine health care to students. These changes are presented as recommended by Arizona School Board Association. Next policy is JLCD. And Senate Bill 1440 amended a series of laws that made the change in the term necessary. This change replaces the term epinephrine auto-injectors to epinephrine delivery system as presented and recommended by the Arizona School Boards Association. And that was because now for EpiPens, typically it was the pen injector, but now there's a nasal spray that can be used, so they changed that language. The next policy is JLF. This policy had language added to put us in alignment with legislative changes as a result of Senate Bill 1493. Changes include clarification on staff identified as mandatory reporters and clarifies that when a school resource officer or school safety resource officer receives a report, it must also be submitted to local law enforcement. You will also see some language added to clarify interview requirements and the protocol when someone from DCS interviews on school sites. The headings you'll see underlined were added to organize the document, and at the very end you'll see definitions that were added to support clarity. These changes are presented as recommended by ASBA. Next policy, GCQF. This policy was updated to add the statutory requirement change to ARS 15350. The revised policy with the new guidelines for school or school district requesting information from the Department of Education about allegations of misconduct by an employee who resigned or otherwise separated from employment with the district. And final policy being recommended is GDFA. And revisions to policy GDFA incorporate clarifying language regarding individuals required to obtain an identity verified prints and IVP fingerprint card, clearance card. Headings were added to improve clarity and organization, and provisions related to school bus drivers were removed, such requirements are addressed in policy EEA bus driver requirements, training, and responsibilities. Any questions?
Doesn't look like it. Thank you, Dr. Lafitte, for going over that with us. Moving on to item number 11, discussion items.
So, Madam President, members of the board, we added an item here because I want to move towards better alignment with our policy and how that's set up. And so, if you'll look at the policy, you should have that attached as BIBA. I don't see.
BIBA.
Yep. I'm not seeing it. Oh, here we go. Right. So in policy BIBA, it discusses board member development opportunities, conferences, conventions, and workshops. And there's a component in there when where the board establishes principles and procedures for guidance on establishing that. What I would like to start doing for the board is, as we establish our goals and we look towards where we're moving as an organization, is to align that with the variety of professional development opportunities. And instead of just as things randomly come up, to bring it to the board each and every time, I'd like to identify all of those opportunities, bring those so that we can then, in alignment with this, begin to budget those items and then establish that. I think the way it was set up, it was a little bit limiting, so I want to expand it to ensure that we can support the work of the district and where we're going as an organization. So for me, it's really just to have the discussion of right now, I believe there was a budget amount each person had annually, but what would make sense would be looking at, especially as inflation changes and things like that, it's hard to say this is your number, that's it, versus these are the items we look at. And following this, once we identify that, we've added in there one item, which is NSBA, the National School Board Association Conference, which is in April. We wanted to bring that early, and that's part of this work as well. We wanted to bring that early because it is opened up. We want to make sure that we can get the conference hotels and those items at an earlier time, and so we don't miss out on some of those opportunities. So part of the discussion is to give you all a chance to discuss conferences, what kind of guidelines you believe support the work for everyone. Is it looking at numbers of conferences, how we attend conferences, going collectively, individually? It's to have that conversation. And I can support where that may be needed.
I can kind of start just with my thoughts right now. I have been able to attend one of our National School Board Association conferences. It was a while ago, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So, and then I do attend a lot of the ASBA ones that are local. I think that there is great value in going and learning what other districts are doing, and I do agree that professional development is very important. My struggle personally for me is I went to the National School Board Association one, and I found that the conferences, the sessions I was most interested in that I felt Littleton would benefit the most from were school districts that were in Arizona. And so then it felt like we took this time and money to go there when it was here. I am all for attending. I feel like if we attend a national one or one out of the state, I would like to see at least a cohort of the board go. I feel like going by yourself, you have great ideas, but there's no one like to bounce ideas off of or talk about how this fits. So I am open to any professional development that we think could benefit. I would like to see if it's a larger one, a cohort. I also am very cautious of the money that I spend, that we spend sending me. Will that make a huge difference to the students of Littleton, or would it be better to send a staff member, use that money to send a staff member to go to that conference, and the people who are in the classroom and making a difference, as opposed to someone who sits on the DS? There's value in both, but I'm also trying to get the people who have face-to-face time with our students as much support as I can.
So question, when is this and where is it at?
So I believe NSBA is in Texas in April this year, but there are other conferences. There's a CUBE conference, which is for kind of more city, I forget what CUBE stands for, but it's like an urban school district conference. There's also ones for, I believe, there's some held for student districts that are mainly Hispanic and things like that, or minorities. So it's not just NSBA that we could go to. Like there are many other conferences that we could attend.
So on a personal level, I've only ever attended the ASBA conferences, and our district has not had to pay for it because I've been the Black Alliance president, so that bill has been footed for us. Like you, Amy, I'm very conservative about the spending, and I also agree with you that it would benefit our students most if someone who worked directly with them was able to attend. That being said, I do like the idea of us having kind of an allocated amount of money that we have to, that each board member is able to have to potentially go to those conferences, maybe even something out of state if necessary, something we might feel to be beneficial. What I would like and what I would propose, and I don't know if it's already happening possibly, is that if we don't use those funds, which we usually never do, that money is reallocated to maybe teachers or someone who does work directly. I hate to see, I like the idea of allocating that money so we kind of know we have it put to the side. There's no surprise. This is the amount of money that we have, put to the side for us. We're not going to use it, but someone who works directly with teachers or with the students, like a teacher or someone else, is able to use it. So I don't know, I'm kind of in the middle about that.
I guess my thought is just the idea of what Dr. Lafitte brought up is we as a board, if it's something that we need to work together like we've done in the past. One of us need to go, two of us need to go, and two of them need to go. We need to look and see where the biggest bang for the buck is, if I can say it that way, or the best opportunity to get some information back to the Littleton district. If it's me, if it's 3 teachers, whatever it might be, I like that idea. Whatever the pool might be, we can be the disseminator of those funds, and if A, B, or C of one of us need it, we can go. And I like your idea, Rachel, of if we don't use it, we put it to some other great use to help the kids here.
Yeah, I agree with Rachel. Like, I mean, I'm all for going, but I'm sure this is 3 days. Well, 4 if you figure. Yeah, because we'd have to go on a Thursday. That's at 7:30 in the morning. Holy moly! That's got to be a lot of money.
And then I don't think it's, and like you're saying, Linda, I don't think it's realistic to think that as a board, we're going to be able to travel like that at any point together. We're all at different stages in our life, and it's just not conducive for us to maybe take a trip. But like, as Curtis stated, like if there is maybe a board member who could take it, but then there are some teachers or someone, I just don't like to waste money.
Yeah, I don't either, and I'm not gonna lie, guys, that's probably during my testing period, and yeah, I can beg and borrow and plead with people, but I'd be lucky to be able to get off.
I just had a question. I agree with all the feedback that's been stated. I don't know if this is an answer. For the current money, because I know I'm the only board member who's traveled out of state since 2022. So all the money that other members of the board have not used, has that money been reallocated elsewhere to different people, or is that money just carried over to the next fiscal year out of the M&O budget?
So my understanding is that money's been carried over on an annual basis. However, I would have to give our new chief operations officer a minute to kind of look into that to figure out where we are. So we'd have to come back with that information.
I have one more question. I just thought of it. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't mean to monopolize this conversation. Currently, what are we doing to ensure that we don't have maybe certain staff, or it could be teachers, anyone who is going on too many trips, like everything, that's my concern. Are we doing anything like that, or is that just like whoever can go, can go?
I think that's a really good point, but it's not in this discussion.
Okay.
So I think that's something we could definitely bring back.
I know that the current limit is $2,000 per member. I know it costs about, I think last time it cost $2,300, around $2,400 for me to go last year. So, I think one conference is fine as of right now. I know there's a lot of scrutiny with federal dollars, and obviously the M&O budget is, from our taxpayers, from our local taxpayers, not federal money. So I think based on that and the participation, if the board wants to decide, since we're a new board, we all can go to this conference and maybe keep that limitation from 2,000 to 2,500, just so we have that extra 500 wiggle room, so we're not overdoing it. Because I know it goes over usually 2,000 now. I'm okay with that, just keeping it one conference per year, and then we could evaluate it next fiscal year to see.
Just so I'm clear, are we saying one conference per year that is out of state? Because I can tell you, I know that I attend more than one in state.
Yeah, out of state. That's our out of state budget. Yeah. So and if less members feel like they want to go to 2 a year, I know Cube and usually the national one is like the most 2 biggest ones nationally.
Just one of the other comments, I think in the policy there, it says once we've gone, we're to come back and make a report or report out or whatever. Where would that be? What do you envision that looking like? Sitting here at this, or do we maybe with you? What do you envision that as?
Are you asking me or Mr. Lafitte?
Dr. Lafitte.
Sorry.
Madam President, Mr. Nielsen, so how I would view it is, as we come back, when you have an opportunity to have your board member report, that can be an opportunity for it. So right here from the desk, you can communicate out what the learning was, what that information was. It can be done in a variety of ways, though. There may be a conversation of how can I what I learned works in collaboration with AI. Can I partner and we work through something together? Opportunities like that can exist, but the initial communication or dissemination would be from the dais, from that spot, to say this was the conference we went to, this was the learning, this is how I believe we can utilize it or bring it back to our organization. I'm
just going to say, this is my feeling. I think that is a great use of our time and energy if it is a local conference. But my feeling is if it is an out-of-state conference where we are spending $2,000, $2,500 to send you, I feel like maybe if it's a group of staff that go board, I would like maybe a work session where we talk about everything you saw and like spend more time than that 1 to 2 minutes in a board report. That's just my feeling.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think that also should trickle down to our administration as well. It should trickle down to them. They should report to us as well on what they're doing on their conferences at a Title II funding as well. So I'm in all support of that. I know there also is the Federal and Advocacy Conference, the advocacy one in DC that occurs usually every January. I don't know if the board, it doesn't have to be this one, but if we possibly see interest in that one maybe being more of a thing, since there's a lot of federal things going on with education, maybe we could go to that one with NSBA. They usually hold it annually in January. I've never been personally. Maybe if the board sees interest more in that one than the national one, since members have been before, we feel like that'd be more better use of tax dollars to go to that one in January.
Madam President, if I could chime in. So what it sounds like I'm hearing and what I think makes sense in this case is if we're identifying one out-of-state conference per board member annually, and what would be great is, and this is a two-part kind of process here. On our end, we can identify board-related professional development, and then as a board, you can bring those, and we can build a list up of those items, bring those back, and then we can look at how do we approve that moving forward for the board. So if it's all 5 decide to go one place or individual places or defer and not, and as a board, we vote to send 2 people to this place, or one person gets 2 conferences, that can be a part of the conversation as well. Okay, does that sound reasonable?
If, as a board member, I found a conference I would like to attend, how would you like me to email you and say this is a conference I'm interested in? And then my question becomes, let's say I really want to go to this one in DC, the federal one. Does that become in my board member statements? I say, hey, board, I'm really want to go to this one, so I'm letting everyone else know I'm interested in it. That way we can see if we have more than one of us, or does it come out in our board update? Member Soshnick would like to go here.
I like your idea, though, and we could sit down and maybe the rest of us want to go to it. Oh, thank you.
So it would come back if you look on the agenda, we do have another item. It would come back just as that item is brought up for NSBA.
Right.
So in this case, when it comes back, it would come to either Ms. Sillis or myself. We would discuss adding that to the agenda as an action item. It could come back for that discussion of sending board members to that conference.
All right.
Yeah, and I think this has been a really good conversation, but also, allocating that money, but also maybe there is a year where the board feels like maybe 3 of us want to go to federal and 2 of us want to go to national, right? And I think if we say maybe one fiscal year, we'll allocate a budget to where maybe that pays for a member and a half. And then say another member of the board doesn't go, then that member can use that member's money to go to that conference. I don't know how members of the board feel about that, but maybe it's just so we're allocated like $20,000, $25,000 per fiscal year, and then we play with the money in that pool, the conferences we want to go in the beginning of the fiscal year to plan it out in advance for the 3 major national conferences. The board, because I think our current allocation, is like 16,000 right now. So if we want to just an idea.
Is there any other information you would like, Dr. Lafitte?
No, I think I have enough information to go off of for us to begin to develop something and bring back to the board.
We weren't sure exactly what that conversation was going to look like. So we did add our next agenda item, which is action items. Dr. Lafitte's already mentioned, it's the NSBA conference in 2026, which they're going to have hotel rooms opening up soon. So if we would like if anyone would like to attend.
That's the one in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a no.
I would say we'll just table it until the next agenda to see what we move on to.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just motion to table it till the next board meeting.
I'll second.
Mr. Sinisterra and Ms. Barnett, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Item is tabled. Okay, moving on to item number 13. That would be future agenda items. I'd like to remind everyone that under Arizona open meeting law, this portion of the agenda is limited to briefly suggesting topics for future agenda. Discussion, debate, or direction to staff of matters not listed on the agenda is not permissible. We stay within these legal boundaries to ensure transparency and compliance with Arizona statutes, ARS 38-431.02H. Is there anything we'd like to add to the agenda? Mr. Nielsen.
I would like to add one for 3 to 6 months out.
You
Solar
think my
panels.
calendar goes that far out? Okay.
Okay, solar panels. I have solar panels on my own house, and I understand how the finance, how the rates go from SRP. I would like to have an understanding how residential is different than business, than different from commercial, and how which bucket we fall into. So to be a financial thing sometime in the future, once we get them up and going and whatever else, I'd just like to know what rate we fall into. If I don't use all my power, SRP sucks it back and gives me 2 cents for it instead of 26 cents for it. And I want to make sure we get the best for our bucks rather than letting the utility suck it away. So just at the future sometime.
We can't discuss. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. I know we had a board retreat, so I'm just requesting that an upcoming board meeting that we have an information item related to surveys from our community regarding the desert drug dogs, and then an update on our next board meeting for a discussion item related to board members' badges for that as well. And that's it. One more. Would also like to, I know we have, correct me if I'm wrong, this may, before I correct, we have a budget coming up, a budget retreat coming up. Okay, so at that meeting, I would like to know, a comprehensive breakdown of the M&O budget and where that each individual dollar goes to in a subcategory and a line item of all of that. I know that was brought up with the gifted program, so wanted to see what we could do to allocate more dollars towards that.
And if I may chime in, just a reminder on a future item, governing board, there will be the board self-evaluation, as that was a part of our discussion as well. So Ms. Silas is going to release the document to complete, and then that'll come at a future board meeting for the discussion. So just want you to be aware that that email will come out to you shortly.
Okay, thank you. All right. Moving to item number 14. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I motion we adjourn.
Ms. Stallard, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Nielsen, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 7 o'clock.